Hello, Tab Nation! It's your boy Tom, and today we're going to be talking about GUIs, Easy GUI, Easy Auto GUI for AHK version 2. So I did a video kind of introducing this, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it. So I've done lots of videos where I talk about each command that you can use in a GUI, but a big mistake that people make when they're coding, and really is probably one of the #1 reasons why people get away from coding and give up, is they think they have to memorize all the syntax. They're like, oh, I can't memorize, these 1,000 commands and all their syntax. And it's like, don't do that. That's what, syntax helpers are for, documentation, Google. Just know what you can do and at least know the command. From there, you can figure out the syntax. I mean, hey, there is a bunch of syntax that I've memorized, but I'm not going to memorize all the syntax, especially if it's something I'm only going to use very rarely. So what we're going to do in this video is basically go through all the different commands that you can use in a GUI. This is going to be in version 2, but it will work in version 1. The commands are the same, the syntax is just slightly different for the most part. So yeah, this is just kind of a way for you to know what you're capable of doing. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do launch auto GUI, and I'll link in the description below my original video that introduces this, so at least you should have an understanding. So here's our first GUI. Now let's say we didn't even have this for some reason, it was closed. We're on a completely fresh page. Let me line this up a little better. All you gotta do is come up here and say new file, and then you can click design mode and then new GUI, and so there's our GUI right there. So yeah, basically we're just gonna run down all these control types for the commands, and so yeah, let's start. So we obviously got button. Now that one's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of these are gonna be. Resize that wrong. So a button is just something you press and then it jumps to, your other code and performs some sort of action. It could be, doing send commands, putting something on your clipboard, whatever. This just links basically to one of your commands to perform other one of your functions. So this just jumps to a function. So we're only going to do one at a time and then we'll delete it. Unfortunately, there's no Control-Z on this program as far as I can figure out, which is a little annoying, but hey, whatever. Checkbox, and that one's also pretty self-explanatory. Checkbox is just something you can click and it will highlight. So let's actually execute that. So as you can see, it just does a little check. Now the thing with checkboxes, let's go ahead and put a few more on there. I keep messing that up. The sizing, there we go. And we'll put one more. Execute that. So the thing with checkboxes is you can actually select multiple checkboxes all at once. So that way if you want to give your user multiple options, you can. So we'll bring that up actually here in a little bit when we get to radio. Alright, delete all those. Combo box, so put that in, and a combo box, the sizing on this is really weird. The combo box basically is a drop down. So you can put as many options here as you want, you can make it as tall as you want, so that way if you don't want scrolling, or you do, you can do that. But yeah, combo box just adds drop down. Date and time picker. This is basically a calendar that you can click and you'll get a little drop down here. That way if you need to select a date of some sort, and there's different ways you can do this. You can format it in different ways. You can put time. As you see, it doesn't have the time, but you can do time. Also the different format, if you're Europe time versus how the US does it. You can do that. Drop-down list. So a drop-down list is basically the same thing as a combo box, But the combo box lets you actually type in the box here, which could have its benefits for searching or adding options. Edit box. This is basically just a field where people can type, whatever. Input your name, whatever you need. It's just an edit box, and that will be saved as a variable to use later. Maybe you're making an INI file to store the user's data or whatever. You can do that. Group box. Oh, the sizing on this is so weird to get used to. So group box is nice for kind of organization. So let's show a little better example using maybe an edit box in here. So we'll put the edit box in here. Obviously, I'm not making this very pretty. But yeah, I could call this group box like personal info, and then have like username, password, date of birth, whatever. But then I can have another group box over here with other information. It could be text, it could be anything. It's just basically, it just puts a little line around with a title. You can get rid of the title if you want it just to be blank, but this is great for organization. I use these a lot actually because I like how clean they are. Group box. So group box, actually we just did group box. What am I doing? Hotkey box. So a hotkey box allows the user to input a key. So they could put like, F1, F2, F1. It lets them assign their own hotkey by just clicking in the box and then clicking something on their keyboard, and it automatically fills in the correct thing. So I press F1, it puts F1. So that's great for letting people assign their own hotkeys. I've used that a few times. I like that. A link. Well, a link's pretty easy. I like how it already says AutoHotkey.com. That's just, you click on it and it opens whatever your default browser is and it takes you there. Obviously, it's like a normal link you see on the internet. On a browser, it's just, highlighted blue. A list box. So a list box is nice for allowing kind of like a drop down, but it's all visible. So that way, if I want to have lots of options, I can just click on, that's blue. I can then push like a button that says like submit, and it'll save that as a variable. So a list box is nice because you can, it's like a drop down, but you can visually see the whole thing a lot better. As long as you have the space to put one on there. If you need to conserve space, I would stick with the drop down boxes. List view, basically the same thing, but it's a little different because you can add columns a little bit better, and it can also be used with icons, I believe. I don't think the other one can be used with icons. List box, I don't think so. But list view, you can. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. It's been a while since I've used those. Alright, menu bar. Menu bars are cool. So you get this pop-up. You can do a menu bar, context, or tray menu. Menu bar is probably the most popular, so I can say, add menu. Yeah, we'll just keep whatever. And you just slowly add your menu. You can move them up and down, edit, remove the name, that kind of stuff. Push OK. And now as you see up here on, so it's not going to work just because we haven't assigned actual functionality. Yeah, not implemented yet. But but as you see right here, I now have a drop down, basically like what you see up here on the top here. You can add a whole bunch, have as many categories with subcategories, submenus, whatever. So that one's pretty cool. I like that one a lot. We'll just leave that one there. Month and calendar. Basically, it's the same thing. There we go. But it's, once again, it's more of a visual than that drop-down calendar that we just saw up there, which was date and time picker. This is basically the same thing, but once again, it's more visual. You can see it right off the bat versus a drop-down, which can look nice, but if you need to conserve space, once again, I would just go with the date time picker. Plus, this one doesn't really, I believe, do the time. It only does the date. So yeah, there's the benefits of that in there. A picture. Basically, just put a picture. It's obviously going to open up. I don't really have a picture. Oh, it just gave me some random picture. That's cool. So, wow, that's pixelated. So this just gives you a picture. I've actually done a video on how to make a picture as an actual button, which can make your GUI look a lot fancier. So you could use this to put like your logo, or if you don't like the basics of the button and how they look, you want something a little bit more fancy, you can add a picture as a button that will execute, you know, whatever. So yeah, I like using those a lot. Progress bar, obviously that can be loading, saving, you know, whatever. You basically want to add like some sort of timer on this to go off, or some type of like checking how far your code is and then updating this. You know, maybe every 5 lines you're saying add 1%. Boom, 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 boom. And so yeah, that's just a progress bar, and it's just kind of like the Windows default here. Nice little sliding effect there, I like. So that's nice. Now a radio button, this is what I was talking about. A radio button, between checkbox and radio button, checkbox lets you actually check multiple fields, where a radio button, only one option can be picked. So if I had 2 of these and I click one, the other one that was highlighted is going to unclick itself or uncheck itself. So it's a way to force the user to only pick one. Now there is a workaround where you can make radio buttons be multiple choice, but if you're going to do that, just go with checkbox, make it easier, and there's no point in doing that unless for some odd reason you really like the circle versus the square. I mean, to each his own, I guess. But yeah, this basically between checkbox is, the big difference is just that only one option can be chosen. Separator is kind of like the group box, but instead of being you know, like a circular box, this one's gonna be a single, and you can make it as big as you want, but it's basically used to make lines, kind of like that. That one I like. If you make it a little bit higher, gives it more of like a 3D kind of effect to it. So this is just one thing, another way to basically organize between different like categories or spaces or whatever. Okay, now we got our slider, and a slider is, well, it's a slider. A lot of this isn't going to work until we add functionality very well. But yeah, slider just, you know, slides back and forth. Whee! So, I don't know, you could use this for like picking, you know, age, number, darkness of your screen maybe, would I think would be kind of cool. So yeah, it's just a slider, and then that basically goes 1 through 100, and it'll save it as a variable. So a status bar adds to the bottom, as you see right here. Status bar, you can, you know, you've seen, basically here's one right here. So down here you can see like my cursor's being updated on location. What screen, I guess, is being selected. What is the name of the program? You can put pretty much whatever you want down here. It can be something that's constantly changing or not. It's really up to you. But yeah, this is basically like on this. This is the status bar. So you can do that. Tabs is great if you want to only use one GUI, but have different like sections. You've probably seen this a lot with like settings and stuff. Like if I go to options in here, see, these are tabs, where every time I click on a tab, it has something new. So that can be useful for only having one GUI, but it more organized once again on just having everything organized. And yeah. Why can't I delete this one? Oh, there we go. You gotta click on the tab. Text is just text. So if you just want to put text on here, and these you can change a lot of the options. You can go to font, change like the size. Make it a little bit bigger. So that's just text. Pretty simple. Text I use a lot for when I use like edit boxes. You know, put like username and then the edit box. That way you can know what you're supposed to fill out there. Alright, toolbar. We can say new, add gibberish, why not? Add some options. And that's basically the same thing, almost as a file, but it's here. Yeah, we can add a few, kind of like that. So it's basically like this right here that you're seeing up here. It's the bar that goes under the main bar, but it can also use icons, which is very nice. So that is that. Yeah, we'll just leave that. Tree view. Tree view I like. I use this a lot. It's kind of like the group, or not the group box, kind of like the other boxes, the list view and stuff, but you can add, you know, you can expand. So you know you can add like subsections and whatnot to it. Yeah. So this one's useful if you want to, maybe you have too much going on in your other kind of list boxes that you're using, and you want to keep this small but still have the same amount of options. This is a great way to go. You click this plus, there's obviously nothing there, but it would expand into more categories. I use this a lot because it's a great way to have tons of options, but in a smaller area, and still not have to use like a list box if I want it to be more visual, or a drop down box, sorry. Up and down, that's just scrolling. So you can add this as a scroll bar where, you know, people can click up and down basically. It's not like a scroll bar, but it's an up and down button that works like a scroll bar, but I've never honestly used those. I don't care for them. ActiveX is kind of cool. You can do a few things here. So you can do like an HTML file, sorry. But you can also do a Windows player file, which is great for embedding videos. So let's just click and voila, we got a video here. Obviously it's not linked to anything, but this is really cool to be using. You can display websites, but you can also display videos if you want some type of like intro video, or use training video, or maybe you have like a moving logo or something. You can put that there. So that one's kind of cool. I like ActiveX, but there's a few things you can do there. Custom class, once again, few options. This is just more for like more customization for a few options. I've honestly never really used this too much, so I can't speak too much to it. So yeah, sorry. A command link, that's basically almost like a link, but it's more of a what's the word? It's kind of like a button or a link, but instead of going somewhere, it kind of more jumps to like code in a way. I believe, once again, that's another one I haven't really used, but there's a few options on that one, as you saw. Let me, well, you can change the text, obviously. I'm not really sure on this one, to be completely honest. Properties. Okay, that's what I thought. So you can add like events, you know, mouse move. It's different things like that. You know, mouse down, apply. So like on message, key down. So that just basically does the same thing as a lot of the other stuff up here. So I don't really use that very often. But for the most part, this is obviously done in version 2 AHK, as you can see, but the commands are still there in version 1. The syntax is just obviously different. Now, if you like this program, this is done in version 2, but there is another program called, yeah, here it is, called Smart GUI Creator, and this is done in version 1 instead, as you see. So it's a little bit of a different layout. It has a little bit less options. I guess you can't see it because it's full screen. But as you see, it's kind of the same thing. If you need, you can add, you know, a button, text. So it has about the same options, but it's got a little less, but you can hard code if you need to. I did a video on this. I'll try to put that in the description below. If I forget, let me know in the description or the comments, because I always forget. Yeah, like I said, this is just more of showing you what are your options when it comes to GUIs, just so you know they exist. I mean, that's one of the key things to programming, is just knowing what you're capable of doing. After that, there's syntax helpers in pretty much everything, Notepad++, VS Code. you know, all that kind of stuff. So don't focus too much on memorizing every single syntax that exists and it perfectly. Just know what you're capable of, and that's kind of the point of this video. So I hope you like this video. Subscribe, because I do 1-2 videos every week about automation, usually in AutoHotkeys, but I do expand a little bit. And hit the like button if you like this. I'll try to do more follow-ups. I'm not really sure what more I could do in this that I haven't done already, but maybe I'm missing something that you can let me know in the comments below, and I'll give it a shot. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.